Welcome to the new plant tissue module training video. Owners participating in Nutra-Links will be provided with a login and password through the E4 Crop Intelligence website. Atlas participants can access Nutra-Links by clicking on the link found at the left of the dashboard. As you can see, the plant tissue dashboard opens to no data to display. This is because no work orders have been created yet. In order for a work order to show up on the plant tissue dashboard, the user must create it first. To get started, simply click Create Work Order. In our first example, we will access grower farms and fields that were in the program last year. Use the Filter menu to select the appropriate grower, farm, and field. The current crop must be updated. Then click Save Field Changes. Work orders can be created with or without boundaries. To add a boundary, click Boundary, click Aerial Map Service or Shapefiles if you have them, then click Get Map. Select the appropriate field, then preview the order, and if it looks right, click Proceed. The image on the right shows the boundary that was just added. Next, select the estimated sampling date. The assignee is optional, but the estimated crop stage is required. The analysis lab is predetermined and cannot be changed by the user. Next, click the Samples tab to enter the sampling points. Click Add, and enter the sample ID, then click OK. Your cursor will change to a plus sign, and when you click on the map, it will drop the point. There is no limit to the number of samples you can add. To relocate a sample, just click on it and move it to another spot in the field. You can also delete it and add another one if necessary. Clicking Save Only returns the user to the dashboard. Our example assumes that one person is creating the work order and a different person is collecting the samples. From the dashboard, field staff can see the field location report and work order report. Field staff can print these reports and take them along to the field to collect the samples. They could write notes on them and report that information back to the agronomist or office staff. Use the field location report to help figure out where the field is located. To create another work order, simply click the Create Work Order button again. Filter to the appropriate grower, farm, and field, and update the current crop. For the next example, let's assume the person creating the work order isn't sure where he wants the samples collected, so instead we'll create a region. Click the Region tab and then click Add. Enter instructions like collect 2 samples from this region. You'll see your cursor has changed to a plus sign, and every place you click drops a point, and when you come back to the beginning to close the polygon, the region is created. Like before, select the estimated start date and crop stage. Then click Save. As you can see, the work order has been added to the dashboard and the status is ready to sample. Let's assume the field staff are ready to collect the samples. They will print off the work order report, which includes the note about taking 2 samples from this region. Once the samples are collected, the work order will need to be updated. From the dashboard, click the link that says Ready to Sample. Then click Add to add the samples in the region. Remember, sample IDs must match exactly what is written on the actual sampling bag. If samples were also taken outside the region, they too will be added. To complete the process, select the actual date the samples were collected. and update the crop stage if necessary. Then click Save and Submit to Lab. Notice the message that says, "This pop-up has been blocked." Click on it to change the setting to Always Allow Pop-ups from this site, so that your lab submittal form will pop up and print for you. Here is the submittal form. It must be printed and included in the box with the corresponding samples. When it arrives at the lab, they will use the barcode to scan it in. As the tests are completed, the results will post electronically back to the appropriate grower, farm, and field. For the next example, we will create multiple work orders in a batch. Click Create Work Orders, and then from the radio button at the top, click Multi. This brings up all the grower farm fields in the system for this client. Place check marks in the box for each corresponding grower farm field that you want to include in the work order batch. Notice that the view of the boundary changes depending on if we have one grower selected versus multiples. When more than one grower is selected, the map no longer shows the view of the boundary. To complete the work orders, select the estimated sampling date. If you try to save before entering the crop stage, the system will highlight the box to indicate you must make the selection before saving. Then click Save. This returns the user to the dashboard where the two work orders just created can be seen. Keep in mind they don't have any sampling information yet. Since sample IDs are unique to each work order, they cannot be batched in. You can do a batch of multiple work orders if all the crops, estimated start dates, and crop stages are the same, but entering the sample IDs and submitting to lab must be done one work order at a time. Once the tissue samples have been collected, the work order must be updated. Click the link that says Ready to Sample. Then enter the sample ID information. There is no limit to the number of samples you can enter. To finish the work order, select the actual sampling date from the calendar menu and update the crop stage if necessary. Then click Save and Submit to Lab. You'll notice this time the pop-up blocker was turned off, so the submittal form opens automatically and can be easily printed. Include this in the box with the corresponding samples. To view all the work orders for this owner client, change the filters to Select and click Refresh. It's easy to see all the work orders and their status at a glance. Notice the differences in the status column. Reviewed means the rec has been reviewed by an on-staff agronomist or manager, and the corresponding rec has been approved. To review the rec, click on the Available link and review the products, making changes if necessary. Then click Save. To approve it, place a check mark in the corresponding row, and then from the Actions menu, select Set Recs as Reviewed. Use the Filters menu to narrow down or widen your search as necessary. If you filter by grower, crop, and work order status and then click Refresh, you will narrow down the work orders seen on the dashboard. To go back to View All, just unfilter and refresh again. To utilize any of the actions in the Actions menu, place a check in the corresponding row that you want to take the action on. For instance, I could now print work orders for all of the rows I have check marked. So if I was responsible for collecting all of these samples, I could print off all these work orders in a batch, and then I'd be ready to go out to the field for the day. Here are all the work orders that I placed check marks in the row. You can add a new grower in a couple of different ways. You can add through the Create Work Order button or from the link in the Actions menu. Both take you to the same place. In the left grower panel, select the single button. Then just type the name of the grower into the box and click OK to confirm you want to add a new grower. Do the same thing for the farm and field names. The number of acres will default to 100. Update this by typing in the box. Next, select the current year crop and then click Save Field Changes. The boundary is optional, so we will complete this work order with no boundary. Enter the estimated start date and then your sample IDs. There's no need to put the points on the map because there is no boundary. Enter the actual date. The assignee is optional. Enter the crop stage and then click Save and Submit to Lab. As long as you've got your pop-up blocker shut off, the submittal form will open and you can print it off and place it in the box with the corresponding samples for the lab. Once printed, you can close out of these windows to return to the dashboard. Here is the new grower that was just added. From the dashboard, you can sort any column by clicking on the column header. For instance, click on Work Order Status to sort that column by work orders. Then you could check each one individually and see what work you had to do for the day. You could click on the Crop column to sort by crop, or sort by crop stage. To go back to Work Order Status, just click on it again. To sort by grower, just click on Grower. This concludes our plant tissue training video. Please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.